I'll introduce Kevin Rebar of the laborers, and he's going to hand off.
Well, I'm going to hand it off very
Hand
quickly.
it off right now. Okay.
Jan is ready to go, so.
Yeah. PMC doctors as well. But that has a deductible with that plan. So we require that you get a physical with blood work every year, so that you do not have a deductible. The one handout is just the things that we cover under our medical plan. So Performance Blue PPO, that's the one that we basically, all of us have. So the coverage is at 100%. We have a $15 copay for your primary care physician, $30 for your specialty care. We do cover prescriptions and as well with this plan. And then we do have a vision plan and then a discount dental plan. Now, handling FMLA, we really don't have FMLA, but we do have a short-term disability claim if it's not work-related or if you're on unemployment. Contributing benefits when working outside of Western Pennsylvania. We have to verify with that employer that we can transfer hours, which would be hours medical and for pension if you're working out of state. So those hours can contribute to make you eligible in Pennsylvania. But basically, we're just, you work 6 months, you're eligible for 6 months. We have coverage with Highmark, we have short-term disability, vision, and a discount dental plan. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
How much is the short-term disability coverage? A certain percentage or?
It's a straight $300 a week for up to 26 weeks.
Doctor's approval.
Yes, so when you call the customer service for the short-term disability with our provider that we have, which is through Principal, they'll then get the information from the doctor and the employer and then start paying the member. 6 months?
6 days after.
Well, if you have an injury, the benefit starts on the first day. If it's a sickness or a surgery, the benefit starts on the 8th day. Not work-related, because that's workers' comp. Any other questions?
I just wanted to hit something on the FMLA. We don't administer it ourselves, but if an employer wants to contribute, they can contribute for welfare. But it has to be at the hourly rate that the member was working under. And it's an employer's responsibility to report it, to administer it, but we will accept the contributions. We will keep them eligible in the plan as long as they meet the minimum number required hours. And the hours are 425?
425.
From
February through July.
Yes.
And then August through January.
So if you work 425 hours February through July, you're eligible for benefits.
September through February.
Yes.
And then August through January is March through August.
But nothing rolls over. Like if you have an excess of 425, it's not gonna.
1,100 in 2 consecutive periods. So if you have 700 hours in the first period, you only need 400 hours the next period. If you have 800, then you only need
So
300.
they get credit for that.
Yes, 11 in 2 consecutive periods, 1,100 hours. So you can have, you could get 1,200 hours in a 6-month period and be eligible for a year.
Okay.
You can work 0 the next period. I don't know if I made that clear. No, okay. Okay. Yeah, the members do get confused about that.
Yeah, it is confusing, because we have certain benefit periods that we count to make that 1,100. But 425 is the minimum hours that we need to count.
That FMLA, that came up
Recently, we've had that question several times, and if you are providing, like Kevin said, you just notify. And that would be the same with all the other funds. But you are required to continue the medical benefits. But then if you just contribute medical benefits without letting the funds know you're doing that, then they look and say, something screwy here. There should be, other contributions. So that's just letting them know that that's for FMLA, and then when that ends, you let them know.
Right, I mean, we will send you a specific form to report that on, to avoid all those questions. And basically, it's just a box. But we do require that you are reporting under FMLA. But after that, you have to administer it, under your company policy. We are not the employer, is basically the reason for that. So whatever is under your guidelines.
Yes.
Let's say you have an employee that gets hurt at work, workman's comp, but because they're off, longer term with that, they're not contributing hours, and then they can eventually lose their benefit. What could be done about that? Anything?
Well, they'll be offered COBRA, which is the payment put into our fund. Sometimes on workers' comp, they put that towards the workers' comp case and make the employer pay for that eligibility if they use it, but it's not required.
So you couldn't just, like the FMLA, you couldn't just pay
No.
for that would be cheaper, right?
And that's one exclusion, workers' comp or unemployment, you can't
Yeah,
collect
but-
when you're getting that.
And that's a problem, because the family's getting penalized here.
Yeah, I mean, run into that, I wish there were better options.
Yeah, but we're working on them.
Yeah, we're working on it,
It's
to make it a little bit higher.
yeah, it's something we don't have a very good answer for right now, to be honest.
What is the premium per month for the employee?
For COBRA,
For individual, it's $712 a month. Member and spouse, $1144. Family is $2073. And member and child or children is $1183, I believe.
yes.
Yeah.
I'll take a second here, actually.
Yeah, off the top of my head. So it's not cheap. And then they
No.
also have the healthcare marketplace to try to get other coverage that's more affordable as
That gives an
well.
indication of
If they
what
can't
the
afford
coverage
that
costs.
program, because that is expensive.
Because we're not passing any fees on them.
I'm just gonna verify my memory.
COBRA, I just had a farm job.
Oh, okay. But I'm
But
pretty
it's
sure.
very, yeah, you're right, you're right there.
And that also includes, with our COBRA, that includes a death benefit. That's why it's a little higher. So if something would happen to the member, spouse, or children while they're paying COBRA, there is a death benefit as well. No questions? Okay, I'll be around. Excellent.
Hi, I'm Mike Hartman, pension supervisor for the Laborers Combined Funds. Generally, you need 5,000 hours, 5 years in the plan to qualify for that. Break-in service is when you work less than 300 hours in 2 consecutive years. You have 5 years from your break-in service to meet reinstatement, which is working 1,000 hours in a year. Normal retirement is age 62, no reduction. You can apply as early as age 52, but there is a 0.5% per month reduction up until age 62, so it'd be 6% a year. If a participant passes while active, there is the vested death benefit, depending on percentage vested. Once they participant retires, there is a $5,000 death benefit that they can apply for. It's just general
Return to work on retirement.
return to work. Yeah, if you retire, you may work less than 40 hours in the industry and still receive your pension check. If you work 40 or more, you would lose your pension check
For that.
for that month, yeah. We do have reciprocal agreements with various pension funds throughout the United States. It would possibly qualify a person for a benefit when they would otherwise not qualify for one. We do have an agreement with the operators and carpenters and teamsters under a construction industry reciprocal agreement that works the same way. Any questions, any specific questions?
I wanted to hit something about the reciprocity. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Can you just repeat what you said at the very beginning on the eligibility?
You need 5,000 hours and 5 years in the plan to qualify. You need both.
And tell them how to meet here. What constitutes a year of service.
Generally, 1,000 hours constitutes a year.
Okay, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, it's the member's responsibility when they work outside of our jurisdiction to either contact the employer. We prefer they contact us, but generally they have a relationship with you, they're going to contact the employer first. But if they do, the funds with all the participating laborers unions, they required an authorization to transfer benefits. You could get them online at our website. We could mail them, we could email them to them, whatever's easy. All we ask is that they return it to our fund office, and then we will contact those funds. There are two types of reciprocal agreements. One is where money follows the man. So any contributions that were contributed for that member would then be reciprocated back to his home fund. And then he would be given credit. We do not prorate the credits. You know, an hour is an hour. So even if it's at a lesser rate, like, for instance, Ohio and West Virginia have a lesser rate than we do, but they still get an hour for hour credit. Same thing in the welfare fund. We don't prorate the hours, so that we're trying to help the members here. But it is their responsibility, like I say, and we do. The sooner they do it and press upon them, or if you know you're sending people out of town, tell them, contact the fund office, you know, about reciprocal contributions. The sooner they do it, the better. It's best to do it as soon as they get out on the job, because typically 20 to 30 days contributions are due after they start working. By the time they get out there, send a letter. Most of these fund offices will transfer contributions once a month. So 2-3 months could go by before anything comes back. And then that puts the member at a disadvantage, you know, if they're waiting for hours for eligibility. In Western Pennsylvania, we will confirm with the other fund offices if they have the contributions and they haven't transferred them yet, if they would send us written documentation, either an email, a fax, or a regular letter of how many hours they're going to be sending. We will advance the eligibility based on it. Doesn't go the other way, though. I know the other funds won't do that. If I confirm it, they won't do that. So it's unique to Western PA, but we don't want our members to suffer, but that's why we tell everybody, get it out early as quickly as possible. The other type of agreement we have is with the national
Reciprocal agreement.
and basically they do not transfer contributions, but they give you a pro rata share so that you need the 5,000 hours and the 5 years credited service, and then you would get, you would qualify for a pension from both funds, assuming you meet those minimum requirements. Again, not the ideal situation, but some of the other funds with the laborers unions, they're very small and they pull together into one large fund, and they have chosen not to reciprocate money.
Does everybody get the same amount of money, or is it determined based on years of service?
It depends on the plan, like the plan roles, your own plan roles. You know, we go by 5 years, $5,000. Okay, so as long as, you know, some funds require, depending on different points in time, some require 10 years, $10,000, some, you know, 5. As long as they qualify for that other fund, like say in Ohio, they'll qualify, you know, with our funds, maybe
So
with our
is the amount they
requirements.
receive based on how many members are participating and how the fund is doing, or how do they?
You talking specifically our fund, or you talking on a joint pension between two funds?
Our fund.
Okay.
You talking?
Just specifically,
benefit?
yeah, benefit.
It's based on our rules, how we calculate our benefit, based on the contributions we have on our file.
Everything's based on contributions,
Yeah.
not the hour
So
work.
that
We-
fluctuates year to year, depending on the plan?
No, right now, the trustees set a factor, and, you know, that's been, since 2005, it's been the same factor. But the other funds, they will typically, some of them pay on per credit year. You get X number of dollars per credit year, regardless of the number of hours you work. So if you work more in our fund, your pension's going to be higher. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you don't, you know, if you get by credit year, it's you know, it's not the same. So work more, get more.
Well, I'm not sure who I should direct you to, but the reciprocal forms. So you're saying that we should be, our laborers filling out the forms if they're working in West Virginia.
Correct.
All those forms we should send back to you.
Correct. And the reason
I feel like that's like not the way we've been doing it for.
And the reason I say that is I want to have record of it, because we contact those funds then immediately saying, hey, we have our members working in your area. I trust our people to do it, where if you send it to somebody else, I
Right,
lose control of it.
okay.
And that's the only reason I say that. But if you sent it to the other fund, they would probably do it. I just want to be 100%
But then you won't be able to track it because you don't.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the only reason I said that.
Sure.
You can send them to both. You could send the original to them and copy us. Perfect. You know, I'm still sending them a letter going into, you know.
Right, no, that makes sense, yeah.
Kevin, how often are those forms filled out?
They are good until the member revokes it. And generally speaking, with all the funds we have dealt with, once you sign that form, as long as you're working in that area, they will automatically reciprocate the contributions at the end of each month.
Okay.
That's the good part. So if the fellows are going to be out there for 8, 9 months, a year, sign it once, you're done. You don't have to worry about it. And then they can check online, you know, to see that their hours are being reciprocated back.
Let's say you got people working in a difficult local, like, I don't know, 57, Philadelphia, let's just say.
I was waiting.
We all know that joke.
What should we be telling our employees that they should be doing if they're not exactly prompt about sending their hours back?
If they're not, I'm sorry.
If, whatever local.
If they're slow.
Yes.
Just a good question. The first thing they should do, they can try contacting the local in question. But if they're already slow, we already know what the answer there is. They should contact our fund office, and then we will reach out to the people that we know. And that's why I say a lot of times if we can confirm the contributions that they have and for the months that they will be sending back, we would then advance the eligibility. Because we know they're committed to it. Then once they send us the documentation, then we will, you know, our trustees allow us to do that. We will credit them accordingly. And that happens more than you think, especially as it gets closer to an eligibility period. And it's a panic. You know, the member's calling you panic. What are you going to do? You know, you say, hey, I did what I'm supposed to do. Call us. That's what we're there for. We're in this together. We're partners in this. We want to help you. But we just need to know where you need help.
The worst trouble I ever had was 132, which is operators for West Virginia. Lots of trouble.
We do too. Ours is 57.
Can you
you go back to what you said about a retired person coming back to work? It was 40 hours a month,
Less than,
less than.
like 39 and a half.
And if they went over the 40, they will not receive their pension for that month.
They would owe it back, yeah,
Okay.
if they already received it.
And we would contribute for that person, say they work 25 hours, the same way we would.
Right.
Okay. We just have that come on.
Yeah,
I don't know why anybody wants to come back to work.
Yeah.
Well, they can't stop working. That's the
Yeah, right,
problem.
exactly.
So they have to judge, am I gonna make more? And then, what about contributions that come in from them?
Yeah, their benefit will be adjusted once we receive all their contributions.
Okay, so they would have an adjustment in their pension?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I don't think people understand that.
Yeah.
No,
I think they're gonna get the same exact pension no matter if they work or
Right.
not, yeah.
And I think that's one of the areas, like, that's one of the reasons why we're having this, is that retirement. And, you know, somebody's retiring, they come to you because you're the employer, but that has to be understood. So that, the worst thing you would want is revoking somebody's monthly pension.
A lot of times too, we'll receive a report after the retiree's retirement date. Most of the times, it's due to the pay ending, it goes into the next month. I still have to verify with the employer that, that person did not work or worked less than the, 40 hours if he's retiring at the normal retirement.
And should you be notified if somebody comes out of retirement to get some hours in a month, or?
Yeah, it's a good idea to let us know. If you can do it before the beginning of the month, that'd be helpful, because then we can cancel the pension and then,
Sure. Okay.
wait for that person to stop working, and then we'll put them back on.
What do they then have to do, Mike, to reinstitute their pension check today?
We just send them a form.
Okay.
Yeah, they sign in, tell us when they started and when they stopped. And we watch the reports coming in, and like I said, if the report is past the time that they said that they stopped working, then I would contact the employer, just to get verification.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick, you had mentioned there was after you get vested, there's like a period of inactivity. What was the number of hours you have to hit?
If you break service,
Yeah.
it was less than 300 hours in 2 consecutive years.
2 consecutive years.
And then from your break, you have 5 years to meet reinstatement, which is 1,000 hours in a year.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I would just like to reiterate though, by all means, call Jan, call Mike at the fund office. I mean, for anything, they both have 25+ years experience. We're here for the members and for the employers. We're here to help those. Don't be shy about calling, please.
One thing I just want to say about the FMLA, which we use as short-term disability. We regulate the hours on the eligibility for the short-term disability, and I had a lot of problems with how that short-term disability money gets reported. So it's paid by the principal, but they will send you as the employer a notice as to how much that member received. And then it's up to you as the employer to report that on their W-2. It's not us, it would be you.
And to pay
The
the
FICA and the PA unemployment, yes. So that's one thing that's always a sticky situation and it gets confused, but that's really how it works.
Moving right along, next we'll hear from Scott Anderson. There are some things that are going to be similar with the funds, but then also there's going to be things that are different. I think one of the things is, not to steal your thunder, but with the operators, and because of their 100% referral an operator goes into another area, has to clear in, and that clearing in is kind of what generates, like the laborers have a form, that's what generates the catch basin. So,
Okay, Clay, I won't bore you with too many details. You have a handout that I gave, or hopefully everybody picked up. It talks a little bit about the combined funds. I can just give you an idea. I don't, we're going to talk about benefits, but the combined funds, just so people understand, the combined fund is kind of the umbrella that's over all of the benefits. And for operating engineers, we do have 4 main benefit funds that we provide. And the combined funds, really, we're charged with the fact we're governed by a board of directors. In that board of directors, there's 8. There's 4 from the labor side, there's 4 from the management side. And I have to be on my best behavior because I do have a director in the room, so I'll have to be very careful what I say. But that's who employs me. That's who employs everybody in my office. Even though someone might be a pension specialist or a welfare specialist, and I give Kevin credit for bringing the supervisors from both of those funds because I wasn't smart enough to do that. But anyway, we oversee what those funds do. We set the policies, pay all the people that work for the fund offices and things like that. We also make sure that every employer is in compliance. It doesn't matter who you are, we want to make sure that if an operator worked 40 hours, we're going to do a compliance audit. We're going to make sure that you paid under the right rates, you paid the right hours. And if there's any type of employment problem, we're going to work on that to get it resolved. And one thing that a lot of people miss, they sometimes think that the fund office, when they do their audit, we're just there to pound the employer, which we're not. If there's a credit due, there's people that over-report, there's people that file on the wrong form. And we want to get that money back to you. We're in your corner as well because we want the employees to have exactly what they should have. Not too much money or not, be missing contributions. We don't want that to happen as well. So we make sure that that happens, and hopefully we get around on a 2-year rotation for audits and things like that. So also the combined funds, we're charged with the fact that we have to keep the records straight for each of the accounts, whether it be welfare, pension. We have to make sure that they're reported properly and submitted and issued to the participants as well. They have that information. I mentioned the combined funds. We have a welfare fund, which is our insurance. We have an annuity fund, which I can give you some information on that. I'll just breeze through that. The pension fund, obviously, is one that's a bigger fund, the biggest fund that we have, and that provides the retirement for our guys when they and women once they do retire. And also, we have a benefit fund, which is a supplemental unemployment, and I'll go over that a little bit as well and bore you with those details, but just in case you're curious. Moving on, I'll start with the welfare fund. It's a PPO plan. We're contracted with Highmark. We are a self-insured fund. We're not fully insured. We were fully insured about 7 years ago. We switched over to self-insured. We have the assets in the fund. It benefits you. We're not paying Highmark as much of an overage if you can be self-insured. There's some risks involved, but we're able to assume those, and so far it's been a good deal for us, and it's worked well. Highmark has been our chosen, they win in an RFP almost every time. We've never deviated from Highmark in the last 40-some years. They appear to value our business, and we certainly value the services they provide for our members. There's been a few times we've looked at Aetna, UPMC. The problems we get into is when our members, specifically retirees or even active members, when they travel outside of Western Pennsylvania, if you have a health issue, it can really amount to be an expensive event for them because the reciprocals and things, Highmark has a bigger stick of weight around the country. So that's a plus. But it is a PPO plan. For our active members, we have a Plan 1, which is our higher plan, and we also have a Plan 2, which individuals can fall into that plan if they do not have enough to accumulate contributions to be in Plan 1. And if anybody has a question along the way, please feel free to interrupt me. We also have a Medicare supplemental plan and also a Medicare Advantage plan for our retirees. The Medicare supplemental plan, we have very few employees that participate with that. That's kind of a plan that they can fall into, and they can choose to use that if the Medicare supplemental plan, or I'm sorry, if the Medicare Advantage plan isn't providing enough benefit. The Medicare Advantage plans, I think, provide a really good benefit coordinating with Medicare. Some individuals have some illnesses that are just way over the top, or they may have some prescriptions that are way over the top, and they can choose to stay in that Med Sup plan, which is quite a bit more expensive than the Advantage plan. But that's a choice that they can make if they would run into a pretty severe illness. Move on to, let's see here. Under the welfare fund also, we do have some additional, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. For the COBRA rates that were noted earlier, I'm assuming that's for Plan 2 and not Plan 1?
COBRA rate for Plan 1 per month would be $1,281. And COBRA rates for Plan 2 would be $647 per month.
That's individual, right?
Yes. And also the welfare fund, it does have some ancillary benefits attached to it, other than just the insurance. We use Vital Partners. That's our EAP MAP program for participants. If they're having marital problems with their children, various problems, they can contact Vital and get a lot of assistance in that area with things that they're not going to get from Highmark. It's an important benefit that we offer. Drug addiction is probably one of the biggest things that Vital deals with for our participants, and they do a pretty good job of focusing those individuals to get the care that they need to get them back to work. Unfortunately, a lot of our operators have certifications on running equipment, and if you test positive on a job, you're going to be unable to perform your duties until you can get rehab and get verified that you're ready and able to go back to work. And we think that's an important thing, safety-wise as well. A couple other things that fall under the welfare fund. We do have a death benefit. If you're an active participant and you pass away, you receive a death benefit of $7,500. If it's an accidental if it's an accidental death, killed in a car wreck, whatever, you would receive an additional $7,500. So it would be a $15,000 accidental death. Normal death would be just $7,500. One or two other benefits I wanted to mention also under the welfare plan. We offer now, it's relatively new, it's about a year in the works. It's called SWORD. We've run into a lot of operators that have had problems with physical therapy. As you know, a lot of people are in physical therapy, and when the operator calls and wants to make a physical therapy appointment, a lot of times they say, well, hey, how about being here tomorrow at 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock tomorrow doesn't work for a guy that's still working, and he's not going to go do the physical therapy. And a lot of times after they work a long day, they're not going to go do physical therapy in the evenings. So we contracted with SWORD. You can still do brick and mortar physical therapy if you want to, but we've contracted with SWORD. That's an at-home physical therapy. What they'll do, they'll send you an iPad, they send you sensors. The physical therapist will talk to you while you're doing your workout or routine for whatever your ailment may be, whether it be rotator cuff, knee injury. But it's really getting a lot of good feedback from our participants because they find that they're not wasting time, because when they're not at work, they don't get paid. So they can do this physical therapy at their own convenience. They can do it more than just once or twice a week. So we've had a lot of good feedback with the SWORD program, which is worked through Highmark. The second one that we just recently did was the Cancer Research Group. We found a lot of participants when diagnosed with cancer. Our group of employees, we're looking at, we get between 60 to 75 new people each year diagnosed with cancer. And what happens, unfortunately, a lot of times they call the fund office and ask for, what doctor do I go to for prostate cancer? What doctor do I go to for colon cancer? That's not something that we're qualified to answer. We found that sending them to Highmark was a good solution, but not as good as we would like. So we did contact with Cancer Research Group, which I think they're located in Philadelphia. That's their main office. And what they are, they will reach out to our members. They get notified by Highmark as soon as there's a diagnosis of cancer, right away, within 24 hours. They reach out to those individuals, and they will point them in the direction to the best providers with the best outcomes in our area for their specific type of cancer. You don't have to use it. You don't have to sign up for it. It's just something they will reach out to them, and at that point they can make a decision whether to talk to their doctors, or, well, it's not their doctors, but their recommendations, their education, and it's the participants' option to do that now. And that's available for not only the operators, but also their family members. So it's been a very positive program. Surprisingly, since we signed up for them, we've already had 50 people go through their program, and some very good feedback from them, and it appears to be a good decision that we made on our part. Just getting back to the Plan 1 benefits. Plan 1 is our highest plan, obviously. Prescription, it also involves prescription drugs. Generic for 1 month would be $10. Brand name for 1 month would be $20. And then if you're on a maintenance drug, you can certainly do it through mail order if you like. 3-month supply would be $20 for the generic and $40 for the brand name. We also offer, we have a preferred pharmacy that we do use, even though the prescription plan is through Optum. Optum RX is who we have under the welfare fund, that's who we contracted through. But you can still use CVS. Our members do like to, they don't want to get involved with mail order a lot of times, so they can walk into CVS and get 3 months worth of prescriptions directly at CVS. That's the only drugstore you can do it at. So we do offer that. Plan 1 benefits as far as deductibles, it is $250 for an individual, $500 for the family. Similar to the laborers, we offer a program if you go ahead and have a physical each year, which the physical is free, both you and your spouse have to do this. Get a physical done, get your blood work done, we will reduce that from the $250, it'll go down to $150, and from the $500 family deductible goes to $300. So, but surprisingly, we have very little participation in that program. I would have to imagine it's probably around 18% of the operators participate in that. So I guess saving a few bucks really isn't that important to them sometimes. We do, under the welfare plan, as well as the laborers do, we have a weekly disability that's $500. And that's whether you're, home mowing the grass and fall down the hill, you're going to get $500 a week as long as the doctor's saying you're disabled and unable to perform your work. As they had mentioned, we do get a lot of questions concerning when an individual is on disability. By law, we have to look back 6 months. And if I look back 6 months on a participant and he's not worked for anybody for 6 months, the fund office covers the FICA. But if an employer was in the network there, they worked for somebody 3 months ago, XYZ company 3 months ago, we have to send them notification that the disability was paid and the employer is on the hook for the FICA. It's not our rule, as the laborers had mentioned, it's something that the IRS has instituted and we have to follow that. So I wanted to point that out. Also, I think it might be a little different for you all. If we have an employee that's got hurt at work, it's an occupational injury, we also give them welfare fund credits while they're injured and can't work. So that would help them maintain their health insurance through the time period. We may sometimes recover some of that money. It just depends on how the settlement goes through the occupational work and through the workman's comp. Our second plan, Plan 2, is a little bit different. There's a lot of similarities. The death benefit is the same for accidental and normal cause of death. And it also has the vision services. I think I missed that on Plan 1. Operators and their families can get their eyes examined once every calendar year. And most likely, as long as they don't take anything too crazy for eyeglass frames and things like that, they're pretty much covered through NDA. So that's the same for Plan 1 and Plan 2. We have an annual dental benefit for both plans. It is self-insured plan. Each individual in a family, if you have a family of 5, your benefit would be $200 for each of those individuals. It can't be lumped together for one individual, but you get up to $200 for each individual. A lot of times I've had employers contact us and say, why don't you have a dental plan? There's a lot of good reasons for that. We've looked at it several times. It gets to be very expensive because every plan that you go to wants a per member per month fee, $6 or $7 or $4, whatever it may be. And sadly, dental usage for our construction people is very low. And even with this $200 reimbursement, it's surprising. We probably have about 25% of our participants that will actually send in the bill and get reimbursed $200. I don't understand why. We really advertise it, but they're just maybe just lazy. Don't know why they don't use the benefits. The biggest thing with Plan 2, I just want to point out, there is no prescription drugs in Plan 2. So that's the biggest kicker. That's why there's a big difference in cost. Prescription drugs are a major factor in our cost each month, and we don't include that in Plan 2. We're just basically trying to give individuals an opportunity to have insurance at the hospital or with the doctor, unless they, if they would have an illness. Let's see. So you're no longer working. We have individuals that will leave, they'll go to another craft, maybe they take another job, they want to work at Home Depot. You can stay in our plan for 6 months, or I'm sorry, 6 eligibility periods, which would be a year and a half. You can make self-contributions, stay in the plan for those 6 quarters, but after that happens, after you're done with that, we no longer allow you to make self-contributions. You would be bumped over to COBRA for a certain period of time and then eliminated from the plan. Anybody have any questions on healthcare? Good, you gave them all the, theirs.
Well, I have a question about the contributions. So
Yes.
my guys talk about their reserves all the time.
Yes,
And some of them say they max their reserve.
yes.
So when that happens, where does the money go that we pay on their behalf?
It's a good question, it's one I get constantly. Very few of the operators work enough hours to max out their reserve, but some of them do. Some of them are working 60 hours a week, every week. So that's a great question, I'm glad you brought that up. So what happens after they work for so long, when their contributions come in, if they have excess in what they need for Plan 1, that the excess goes into a reserve bank. That reserve bank can go all the way up to $30,000. Once they hit the $30,000, all the excess contributions go back into the plan. And what that does, we have lots of operators that have hit that, not lots, it's only 12%, but they've hit that $30,000 peak, and they want to know, hey, my contributions, I had $2,000 last year, it was paid in excess. What that really does, it does help the entire plan, and it helps keep the cost for everybody down. And to give you an example of that, healthcare inflation over the last 5-6 years has been tremendous. We have not increased our contribution requirement in 7 years. So that's
So
part
they
of the
can't
reason.
divert that to pension or?
They cannot divert, you can't mix the funds. Yeah, you'll make my attorney's head explode. But that's what happens, but like I said, that's a very small group, probably around 12%, and that is gonna, I'm gonna guess that that's gonna probably drop. A lot of guys hit that max during work at the cracker plant. We had a lot of guys working a ton of hours at the cracker plant, and they got a lot of contributions into the welfare fund, and they've hit that $30,000 reserve. Now, one thing they can do is to combat that is, when that money's sitting in reserve, if you have a major dental expense, you're only gonna get $200 out of the plan. But if my child gets braces and it's $4,000, pay the braces, pay the $4,000, send us a paid receipt, we can remove the remaining amount out of your reserve. So any IRS qualified medical event is not covered by the welfare plan. And there's not a lot, but there are some. You can go ahead and use your reserve for that. One thing is physical therapy. Occasionally we have somebody that wants to continue. We offer 21 visits for physical therapy, in-house physical therapy. The SWORD program is unlimited, but I've had individuals that wanted more in-house physical therapy, and they've hit the 21 for the year. They send the bill in for the physical therapy, the additional physical therapy, and take the money out of the reserve. So that's an option that they do have. Thanks for bringing that up.
I have a question. Are the members aware of that? Because I do payroll and I know that a lot of them contact me. Are they aware that they can send in the receipts?
Yes.
Okay. I just
Yeah,
wanna
we
make
tell
sure.
them constantly.
Okay.
And again, it's surprising how many individuals, they'll complain about the reserve being capped at $30,000, but then I'll go back and look and see if they've had any medical expense that they've turned in additional. And they don't, and I'll ask them why, and they'll say, wow, then I gotta fill out paperwork. Well, that paperwork's cash in your pocket.
Right, they don't do the wellness because you have to report. They don't report.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Anything else on welfare? And I'm not picking on our participants, but I think they're probably similar to everybody else. They just sometimes just don't want to deal with the paperwork. And other guys, if they have a reimbursable event, I'll get the receipt the next day. Or a lot of guys have good wives.
Or mothers.
Yeah, right. So, next in that packet, I'll just mention a little bit about the annuity fund. That's the defined contribution plan that we have. It's very similar to a 401k, technically under ERISA. It's titled a profit sharing plan, which is a little odd, but that's just the way it is under ERISA's, the IRS classification. So the annuity fund, the guys get money paid in per hour. It varies depending upon the contract. And that is a self-directed fund. We have 21 funds in that account. They can pick and choose where they want to put the investments, and they can move them on a daily basis if they want to. It's just a supplement to their pension when they do retire. If they can keep their hands off it, if not, they move it beforehand. Moving on to more importantly, I did want to mention family leave also, because I know that was a question brought up to the laborers. We handle it very similar as the laborers do. ERISA has no guidelines for family leave for fund offices because we are not the employer. But what we will do, you contact us if you have somebody, if you have a steady employee who wants to go on family leave, and you want to maintain his, you have to maintain his health care, contact our office and we'll work you through that scenario. Make sure that the report will come in, you can just make contributions toward the welfare fund. You don't have to pay any of the other benefits, and we'll make sure that the individual keeps himself insured, and you can keep your end of the bargain up as well. Moving on to the pension fund. This is very similar to the laborers. You need 250 hours to be active in the account. It takes 5 years of service, plus the 5,000 hours. I don't know whether their plan does this or not, but we specifically ran it up against this with the Cracker plan, a lot of people having a lot of hours. We had individuals that maybe their skill level wasn't exactly what it needed to be, and they were kind of brought in to fill a position like a low-grade position like a forklift operator, and they worked at the Cracker plant for 2.5 years. And they may have had 3,000 hours in year one, year two. If they had at least 250 hours, so now they have 6,000 hours, if they had at least 250 hours in that third year, after a 2-year waiting period, they hit 5 years, they have the 5,000 hours. So they would vest after that short period of time. And I'm thinking you're just, yeah, okay. Yeah, so a lot of times I've had individuals call me and say, yeah, I just worked 4,000 hours, or I got 6,000 hours in 3.5 years, and you're telling me I'm not going to vest. He will vest, it's just the time has to pass before he will vest. So I wanted to point that out because that's important. We do give credit of service. We coordinate with the laborers. So if someone's a laborer for 5 years and they have 5,000 hours of the laborers, and then they decide to be an operating engineer, or they get some training and they become an operating engineer, or maybe their employer wants them to move into the operating engineer end of it, that's fine. We would give them credit for that service. It would be the 5,000 hours divided by 1,000. They get 5 years of credited service. That would mean the first dollar that comes into the operators, they would start, that's a credited pension for them right away. They wouldn't have to wait 5 years or revest. And we also do it with the Teamsters. We do not have an agreement with the carpenters, so it would be just basically Teamsters and the laborers. The benefits that we pay out, normal retirement after 5 years of credited service, 65 years of age. Early retirement, you can go at age 55, 64, but you would need 10 years of credited service. And there is a reduction in your pension. It's 0.25% per month, up to 15% if you go at 55. So that does play a factor in what you receive on a monthly basis. A disability retirement, we have, unfortunately have some of those. You have to be an active member when you become disabled, and you have to have at least 10 years of service, and you do have to have a certification, either a Social Security award or a notification from a physician stating that you're permanently and totally disabled. You can retire early without a penalty at age 60, as long as you have 20 years of service. A lot of participants take advantage of that. The options we provide at retirement, survivorship options, this would include leaving some money for your spouse. We have 3 options, well actually 4. One option is 100% joint survivorship, so whatever I'm receiving per month when I retire, if I pass away, my wife would get that. 75% joint survivorship option, 50% joint survivorship option. And it is important to note that a participant, when they do retire, if they decide that they want to take their full pension, no J&S option. They want their wife's not going to have anything once I pass away. The wife does have to sign off on that. These benefits are marital assets, so the wife would have to sign off and agree to have that done at his retirement. One thing that we do have that a lot of our operators forget to ask about when they retire, we have a pop-up in our pension. So just if I would retire and I have 100% J&S, so if I'm getting $2,000 a month, when I pass away, my wife gets $2,000 a month. If she would predecease me, if she died before me, then our pension pops up to a full pension for the operator, or for the participant. So that's one benefit that we do offer. The only downside is the participant does need to notify us. Let's see here. Make sure I don't miss anything. And of course, you probably all know this, that the pension benefits are all managed by professional investors. We hire various managers and things with the pension pension fund, I have 21 of them, which in my opinion is a little too many, but we stay within a strict investment policy statement. It's not just, we don't, trustees, even though they have say-so who gets hired, they really don't pick who, we bring in finalists, we interview them, we pick them based on their returns and the style that they have. So there's no real crazy investments involved with the pension fund at all. It's pretty relatively, normally invested, I should say, we call the investment policy to a T. Any questions on the pension? Yes.
So this came up in our company in the last year, 2 of our employees that are semi-retired. And how does an employee have to continue to, how do I want to say this? If they retired, can they still collect their benefits and work?
Before 65, no, they can't work.
Okay, so say I have a guy in the field that's been here for 32 years.
Right.
And he's still a superintendent on the job. So he can't, and he's maxed on his benefits, his pension, let's say. So he can't stop contributing and still work in the road, in the field.
Correct.
Okay, I just,
Yeah. Now we do have, there's another scenario that just popped up and we've made some changes to it. We've had employers that have contacted us and said, hey, I have, Bill Smith he's in the office now, he's an estimator.
that's how we do.
He used to be with the operators. Can he get his pension? And the answer used to be no. But now, as long as we get a certification from the company that he is not doing covered employment,
Right,
he can get his pension.
right. That was our scenario with 2 of our guys.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, he can start to receive his pension.
perfect.
Also, on the pension end of it, we do have peak employment that happens occasionally. When we don't have enough individuals to fill jobs, they will institute peak employment. We didn't do it last year. I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year. That's a union decision. They usually come to me and say, hey, we're running short with bodies. We need to put some retirees in. But during peak, they have the opportunity. They can continue to receive their pension and work, unlimited hours. And I don't foresee that coming back this year either, but I haven't had any discussion with the union at this point. The only caveat during peak employment, we do not recalculate their benefit. We figure they're getting their pension, and they're working, they're getting a paycheck, and do not recalculate the benefit. Anything else on pension? Okay. Last thing I'll go over is the benefit fund, which is a supplement to the unemployment. And the only way that our guys qualify for that, or women qualify for that, is when their unemployment is exhausted. They can apply for the benefit fund, and that would be, they would be eligible to receive up to, $2,000 per month while their unemployment has been exhausted before they get back to work. One misunderstanding about the benefit fund, a lot of times individuals will say, well, that's pretty good. The guy can make $2,000 a month, he's not, not even back to work. Well, we do coordinate with the union pretty closely on this. So if we find out that individual X has been called 3 times to go out on a job and he's refused it, he would be denied the benefit. So we make sure that they're actively seeking employment. That's the whole idea. If you're unemployed, not due to your own doing, that's a different scenario. But if you're turning down jobs, you will be denied the supplemental unemployment.
Did you have a lot of applicants during COVID and all of that mess we had?
For the benefit fund?
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the benefit fund was probably a savior for some individuals because unfortunately the unemployment system was so screwed up during COVID. A lot of guys, even though they qualified for the benefit fund, unemployment, they couldn't get it.
Right.
And it saved a lot of guys. Now, unfortunately, we had some people that had to pay back money once they got their paperwork squared away. But I don't think they mind too much.
It's nice that's there. It's nice.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time, and keep in mind, keep this packet as reference. It goes through everything. And if your employees are unhappy about health care or pension, don't let them beat your ear too much. Send them our way, because that's for us to deal with. Most of you probably have enough on your plate. So, thank you.
Okay,
If there's no other questions, I will, we'll send out contact information if you have further questions, or if you want to, this is the time where you run out of the building screaming no. But they'll stick around if you have any questions. If you want to ask.
You'll give them a contact because we forgot our card.
Yep. Certainly.
I have cards for them. Gotta give me something.
Exactly. We've got to do something. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your day.